Hi, welcome to the world of trade and shipping. This is the River Exe estuary and has had ships visiting for thousands of years, including the odd submarine as seen here making its way down the Exeter Ship Canal at around 1954. This picture was taken near the entrance to the canal near the Welcome Inn. You can see the Truesweir Mills in the background. But let's start the story at the beginning. More about the midget submarine X-51 HM submarine Stickleback later on. The Exeter Ship Canal was built as a direct result of action taken by the renowned Countess of Devon, Isabella de Fortibus, who built a weir across the River Exe in the year 1272, and which was then improved upon by her cousin Hugh de Courtenay, who later became the first Earl of Devon in 1335. Prior to 1290, the River Exe was navigable by shipping right up to the city basin, and had been a port since Roman times, and no doubt long before that. The River Exe is a spate river, and consequently its channel is regularly flushed out when heavy rains fall over Exmoor. Countess Isabella, the wealthiest woman in the country in her time, wanted to increase her production in the wool trade, and so in cahoots with Hugh de Courtenay, her young cousin, built a weir across the river to run her mills at the place of Countess Weir, as the district is now known. In 1300, Hugh de Courtenay was granted the Manor of Topsham by King Edward I. This gave him distinct business prospects, and so to take advantage of these new powers he had gained, he wanted to increase the trade through the port of Topsham, thus allowing him to charge tolls over the roads between Exeter and beyond. So, by the act of building a weir, in a stroke Exeter's port was cut off from the sea. Over the following years, Courtenay made sure the river remained unnavigable. He employed his workforce to cut down trees in great numbers, chained them together, and filled in with stones and gravel, and so in time this caused the top end of the estuary to silt up. Because of all this he had done, things were obviously not good between Courtenay and the city, and so, to add to his revenge, he erected a quay and a crane at his mansion of Topsham. The effect this had enabled Topsham to develop a larger trade with the continent, and in fact Topsham then grew to be the second largest port in the country, other than London at that time. Over the ensuing years the city made petitions to the monarch for the weir to be removed, but it wasn't until Henry VIII brought about the demise of the Courtenays that changes were made that would alter Topsham's flourishing port. Henry Courtenay, Marquess of Exeter and second Earl of Devon, was detained and executed in 1538 for conspiracy, and all his lands were confiscated. 2 years later, Exeter was granted permission to open up Countess Weir for navigation. But by this time, however, the river had silted up to such a degree it was deemed impracticable. The result was that the leaders of the Exeter Chamber of Commerce gave birth to the notion of a canal to bypass the weir and give Exeter back its working port. Between 1563 and 1566, John True of Glamorgan was engaged by Exeter city traders to cut a canal between Exeter and the estuary that would allow ships to navigate up to Exeter's own quay. The first canal was only 1¾ miles long and 3 feet deep and just 16 feet wide, and went from the King's Arms sluice at Haven Banks and was started in 1564 and went to the Matford Brook, an exit point where the swing bridge going over the canal and part of the A38 is today. It remained until 1676, and over the following 120 years of time it silted up, but it showed the way for the persistent city fathers to carry on with their canal. Meanwhile, Topsham thrived as a port and was very busy, equipping ships for the arduous journey to the New World and importing salt cod from the Newfoundland banks. Then a big change came to Exeter's prosperity when Queen Elizabeth I granted a charter to the city of Exeter, allowing merchants to import French wines and fruit, most of which was landed at Topsham. In 1588, along with Exeter, Topsham supplied and fitted out 3 ships, the Rose, Bartholomew and the Gift, all ships built at Lympston, to fight the Spanish Armada. And in 1599 the first coal was imported into Topsham. And so, over the years, imports increased from the coalfields of South Wales and the North East to fuel the local paper mills, lime kilns and foundries. All this gave much more importance for the need of shipping to gain access to Exeter's port. The second phase of the canal came when it was extended and deepened towards Topsham at Trenchard's Sluice exit in 1676 to take craft up to 60 tons. Trenchard's Sluice is where the motorway M5 now crosses over the canal. The next major change came in 1701 when the canal was widened and deepened to 42 feet wide and 14 feet deep to take vessels of up to 150 tons. Also, Double Locks Hotel was built as a lockkeeper's cottage at this time. The 3-pound locks were changed into the Double Locks basin as it is now. For the next 120 years, things pretty much stayed the same, until 1827, when the next stage took place and the canal was extended to its full length and the turf locks and basin were built, giving access to craft of 400 tons. And finally, Exeter Basin was dug out and created in 1830. At this time, the demise of the canal was just around the corner, for the railway came to Exeter shortly afterwards in 1841. Today, nearly 750 years after the counties of Devon commissioned a weir to be built, and the changes that came about, its legacy, the Exeter Ship Canal, remains in use, providing a wonderful environment for leisure activities such as fishing, canoeing and rowing, with a cycle track running over the towpath, giving access to people like myself with the electric trike. The Exeter Ship Canal has had many adventures in its long life, and I can't possibly do its history justice in a short documentary, so I'll split its features up and cover certain aspects in detail over the coming months. I hope you have found this part 1, my introduction to its existence interesting, and look forward to further episodes. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. 7 threes.